Hi, everyone. This is Diana Palm. Welcome to another episode of Reconnect. I'm here with you live to talk about afterlife signs and symbols. And I welcome you and invite you to share some of your own, because the more we share the afterlife signs and symbols that we receive from our loved ones on the other side, the more other people can actually be open-minded to that and receive their own afterlife signs and symbols. So it's very, very healing to be able to talk about and share these things. In fact, I've been told before, like, not to talk about those things because people that I've been with have been worried about how other people would perceive this, or if I would be judged, or if I would freak everyone out. But in every situation when I have done this, I have found that everybody had their own very unique, very special, significant healing that came through an afterlife connection with their loved one. So this is normal and it's natural, and it's time for you to share. So I welcome you here today to reconnect, to share your own afterlife signs and symbols. Now, some of you even don't even know what that is. Some of you are like, what do I expect? They're not sure if like a door is going to open, their loved one's just going to come walking through, and they're a little bit freaked out about it. But most afterlife signs and symbols are very subtle. They're significant to you. Other people in your vicinity may not recognize them because they are specific to you and the connection that you had with your loved one in spirit. So I like to just talk about some afterlife signs and symbols that have been going on lately and see if you relate to them, and pop on and please share your own. Again, I read every comment. I don't always get to respond to every comment, but I do read them. So please share. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the comments up just so I can see if anybody here is live with me. Okay, so the first one that I wanted to talk about, I'm going to share some from myself, but also from others. So one of my one situation that I'd like to share, one afterlife sign and symbol, is very significant. It was really sweet too. It was about a month ago, and my daughter shared this one with me because she and I both have a significant person that we loved in this lifetime. It was a very, very dear friend of ours. We considered this person a family to us, and he died nearly 20 years ago. He is still always actively giving us signs and symbols to let us know he's with us. So my daughter was out shopping one day, and she was just looking through the clothes rack and noticed something that she had never seen. It was a particular brand that she had never seen at this store before. So she noticed it because it says the brand name is the name of our friend who passed. His name is Dickie. And so there's Dickie's label on a shirt. And she's like, what? And it caught her attention. And she's like, wow, I've never noticed this brand here before. That's got to be a hello from heaven. And so she recognized that right away. It brought a smile to her face. And she didn't think much of it after that. She just left the shirt and continued shopping throughout the rest of the store. And then she went home, she did other errands, and later on, she went to put her hand in her purse to pull out her wallet or something she needed to get. And she felt something in there that she didn't have in there before. And so she pulled it out, and it was a button from the store, I guess apparently from that item, because it was a Dickies button. Somehow it had found its way into her purse, whether it leapt off or, she couldn't figure it out, but it had come home with her as if to tell her, yes, this is a sign. Yes, I'm here with you. Yes, we're still connected. So that was beautiful, and it was meaningful to her. And she knew it was a message for her that she wanted to also share with me, because we both were close to him and always appreciate the signs and symbols that he sends us. So she took a picture of the Dickies button in the palm of her hand and immediately sent it to me so I could see her proof of the afterlife. And these kind of signs happen all the time. You don't have to look for them. You just have to be observant and receptive, and then acknowledge them when you get them. This encourages that doorway to be open between you and the afterlife, because your loved ones want to send you signs too. They always want to send you signs that they're around you, that they know what you're going through, that when you're in times of need, they surround you even more so, that they are there to support you. You are never alone. So I loved that afterlife sign and symbol, and that was really special. So another one, this one also came through my daughter just recently within the last few days. She is in a very special relationship with her boyfriend and his daughter, and they had to put down the family dog. And so it was a sad day, and as you guys can relate, I know most of my viewers are pet lovers. It brings up a lot. It's a very emotional time. It's very special. And it's sometimes very heartbreaking, and there's many things that come up to be healed around the loss of a loved one, even pets, of course. So she wanted to do something special for her boyfriend's daughter. And the first thing she thought of was to purchase a children's book that my sister had written before she passed. So she died many years ago, nearly 20 years ago. And she had a children's book that she had written and illustrated. And I think it's called Zoe's Goodbye. I'll put the link below this video. At any rate, that was the first thing that she thought of. She's like, I have to get this book because I know it will help her. It's a children's book about losing a beloved pet, but it's not just for children. I'll tell you that right now, because to this day, nobody that I know can read that book without crying. I mean, my daughter and I just cry thinking about it and talking about it. So it's definitely for adults as well. So my daughter went online right away, and, she wanted to gift this book to the beautiful child in her life and help her with grief and understanding the process. So she went online to order it, and she found one last copy. So I don't know which platform she was on where she ordered. I think she was on Amazon. I'm not positive, but she only found one available at a particular site that she went to. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they have one left. I better order it right away. And so without thinking, click, she ordered it. And I was on the phone with her when it arrived. She's like, oh my gosh, my sister is my daughter's aunt. So this is very meaningful to her. She's like, Mary's book arrived, and I can't wait to be able to give it, to have this copy and to be able to share this with this little person in my life who it will be so meaningful to. And as she's looking at the book, there's a receipt that's kind of sticking out, and she pulls the receipt out, and it says, I'm going to cry. It says, it says signed copy. And my daughter was like, what? How can this be? I mean, her aunt died almost 20 years ago. And she's like, the one copy that I could find online that day came and unannounced to me was a signed copy. She's like, is it possible? So she opens the book, and there's the signature for my sister with a little paw print. And so, gosh, this is why we need to talk about these things. It was so meaningful that she literally had my sister's signature, her aunt, her signature, a signed copy of the book. And that is definitely an afterlife sign. So I don't even want to apologize for crying, because these things do move us. They do bring up emotions for us. They're so beautiful and connective and inspiring and magical. They come in magical ways. So if we weren't live, I'd blow my nose right now and dab my eyes. And so that was unexpected, which is, again, another sign that my sister's around. When you have these types of emotions that come up, these feelings of connectivity and love, it just opens your heart, and it's so natural to cry during that. So if you're experiencing little things that you're not even sure if they're afterlife signs, but you feel emotional, they are afterlife signs for sure. So that was just this last week. So that one's fresh, and that one's really amazing. I have clients, because I talk about afterlife signs and symbols all the time. And I tell them, look around your world. Sometimes people are just blocking out these beautiful things. Or I've actually had clients that tell me, I'm getting orb photos, I'm getting pennies from heaven, I'm getting this and that. Could it really be possible? And I'm like, yeah, yes, it's possible. Not only is it possible, it happens all the time. This is normal. It is natural. The afterlife is around us at all times. It always has been. And our ancestors knew this. It's almost as if somebody blanketed us with, like some sort of dogma or belief system where we disbelieved it. But in many cultures around the world, they still fully embrace this as natural, as normal. And so it's really good to embrace this and start to live in a more beautiful, connective energy spiritually. So thank you for joining me. Hi, Angie. Okay, so we have, I'll share this with you as well. I don't know if I talked about this on a live show on Reconnect before, but it was really sweet because I was actually in a session with a client talking about somebody very close to her that had passed and resolving some of those issues that, she had to heal. And it was so sweet because I kept getting this word, lollipop, and I kept asking her about it. And she was like, no, that doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, no, no, no. So then at the end of the session, I said, you validated everything else that we went through during this healing session and through our mediumship together and this time we spent connecting with your loved one. I said, are you sure, absolutely sure that you don't know what the word lollipop means? And then suddenly it occurred to her. So it's funny because people that are connecting with the afterlife sometimes have amnesia. They don't connect the dots. And that's why learning to understand the language of your loved one and how they will give you signs and symbols is so important for you being able to recognize them and receive them. So she suddenly did remember. She goes, oh my God. She goes, Lollipop was the name of my pony when I was a child. And she said, not only that, it's the only picture I have of me and all my siblings in a frame on my wall right beside me right now. And we're on the pony named Lollipop. And she said, also, it's the password to my computer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you not recognize something like that? So that was such a clear sign from her loved one in heaven that not only did he know she had the picture, he brought through something that would connect to her childhood, to her siblings, and let her know that he was there, knowing that, witnessing her life and surrounding her with love all the time. So that was really beautiful and really special. And that's kind of the magic, how the magic comes through. Many of my clients receive pennies from heaven. I have one client right now. He's so wonderful. And he gets so many pennies from heaven. I would say maybe once or twice and sometimes 3 times a week. He is constantly getting pennies from heaven. And I think he started a jar or something where he's collecting them all and he's just putting them in there. And they are constant reminders of the connections we have to the loved ones on the other side, people that we love, spirits that are able to give us these gifts so that we know we're still connected. Let's see here. I wrote a few more down. So last week I was sitting out having my coffee, contemplating things, and this magnificent, very colorful, very loud hummingbird came right inside. So I have like this canopy outside to keep the rain off me, and it has long curtains down to the ground, but there's an opening that I go through. So the hummingbird flew into it and hovered right in front of my face, looking at me and just, making its noise. And I smiled and acknowledged it, just thinking it was, a little hello from a hummingbird. And then I remembered, oh no, hummingbird is the specific sign that I get from one of my grandmas. Ever since the moment she died, she's been sending me hummingbirds. In fact, right before the moment she died, she began sending me hummingbirds. When she was in hospice and kind of going in and out of consciousness, was the first hummingbird that came and presented itself to me and made contact. So ever since her passing, that has been a very reassuring sign, because it consistently happens in the same way. It doesn't just fly by. It's not just going to a hummingbird feeder. It can happen anywhere at any time, but it always approaches me and comes face to face with me and hovers for a little bit to make sure I recognize that it's an afterlife sign. So animals always can participate in these afterlife signs and symbols. So pay attention to the strange things that animals are doing around you, or if you're seeing repeat animals over and over, then that's most likely the animal that your loved one has chosen to send you. So that's another way that you can anticipate and recognize afterlife signs and symbols. So right now, give me a few, if you're with me live, put it in the chat room, any signs and symbols you're getting, anything that has warmed your heart, anything that you perceive as a gift from your loved one in heaven. I would just love to know that. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to pop in here. Angie, what are you saying? You partially no longer believe in the afterlife. Okay. Oh, of the Bible per se, but you believe in the afterlife. Yeah. And it's all through every religion, every culture, every time. I probably have my makeup all smeared, sorry. The afterlife is actually mentioned in the Bible many times. And so there are so many other religious texts that refer to it. And, this should be an independent personal journey for you to understand how normal and natural it is. I always love to quote Einstein and Tesla, because they both have made very, very famous comments about the energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes forms. And so when our soul leaves our physical body, where does it go? It goes into the afterlife. It stays alive. It stays connected. It is still in existence. And being able to learn how to connect with our loved ones in the afterlife is like building a bridge. And I like to call it's like a frequency bridge. So when we're heavy in grief, our emotional frequency is only 75. We have to get our frequency up higher to be able to connect with our loved ones and recognize the signs and symbols they're sending us. And that's what my programs are all about. Reconnect, where you work with me one-on-one. And then my new program, Grief Ease, is where you actually go through the spiritual lessons and spiritual assignments all on your own to teach you how to will help you get your vibration higher, and then teach you how to recognize those signs and symbols. So it's about getting your frequency higher towards love. And love is a vibration of 500. So you'd literally be going from 75, where everything feels cut off and dark and hopeless, back into the energy and frequency of love at 500. And this is where you have a lot of afterlife experiences. So that's another thing that I hear from my clients who will tell me, I'm not receiving anything. Is my loved one okay? I'm not getting any signs that they're okay. That's a clear indication that we need to do some healing for you, that you need to do some healing to lift your frequency, to get out of the low frequency of where grief is. And that this doesn't mean you don't miss your loved one, by the way. We will always be connected and love them and miss them in our physical reality. But what it does is lift the energy of grief. And it brings it into a higher frequency where you can observe and experience more of your own afterlife connections. And I love that, because, you saw me bawling my eyes out earlier. Having your own experience is so different than going to a medium who can give you, through their connection, they can give you something, and that's meaningful for sure. But I love to teach you how to get your own, because when you have your own experience, you feel connected, you're connected. And this gives you the courage to move forward after you've lost a loved one. It brings you that kind of comfort in your soul that sustains you, that stays with you. And there's no question about it. So that's why those are so valuable for you to have. Oh, okay. So I have a question here before we carry on. Let's see, Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. Okay, what are some lifestyle practices for mediums, some spiritual practices? I love that, Wendy. And just so you know, I do have some mediumship courses online. I have a spiritual academy that teaches you how to develop your own mediumship, how to raise your frequency, how to get a crystal clear connection, how to call in the angels to work with your vibration, how to do a meditation, how to shift your energy and vibration to get that connection as a medium. And that includes creating your sacred space, how to clear your energy, all the things. So be sure you check that out. That would be Master Your Mediumship. And that is in my spiritual academy. The link will be below this video. But so that's kind of what I would say right there. A medium's practice is to observe energy every single day and to know how energy impacts you. So the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I raise my frequency and vibration. I may do this through meditation, through mindfulness practices. I take a lot of spiritual baths to cleanse my energy, especially because when I'm working with a lot of clients and I'm so empathic, I can pick up a lot of their energy. And when they're grieving, I certainly don't want to carry their grief for them. I want to help them clear it, but I don't want to take it on. So I'm very mindful about clearing my energy and doing specific practices. Spiritual baths are among them. That helps to really clear your energy. There's essential oils. There are, if you don't like meditation, you can go out in nature and ground yourself. I yesterday took a nice little lunch break and sat by the river all by myself. And I just tuned in with the water going by me. And I took my shoes off and I got my feet in the sand. That's really important to ground your energy and stay connected. That helps your spiritual vibration as well. So I share a lot of all those things. Actually, there's 8 really pivotal lessons in developing your mediumship and creating and sustaining your spiritual energy and vibration for doing the work. So be sure you check out Master Your Mediumship. I appreciate your question. Okay, so let's see. We got another question here. Let's see. Okay. Hi, do you know how my kitties or horses will send me signs from the spirit world? I know I'm blocked probably in all my chakras. Oh, and I want to communicate telepathically. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that is so important. And I've had to put down my dog Dexter, and 2 years ago I put down 2 cats one was a lifelong companion of over 20 years, Punky and Gatsby. They died in the same year. And that was so challenging, but I can say also comforting because I was reassured by their afterlife signs to me right away. We literally heard Gatsby's meow after he passed. Same thing with Punky, and with Punky, we actually put him down in our house and my daughter and I were holding him. Actually, she was holding him. I was sitting beside her and we had the vet come to our house to put him down. And right in the exact same spot where we were sitting, the next day there was like this a white feather that was floating around in circles and just, it wouldn't go down. It was not like it was just something that drifted in from outside or whatever and was just going to go down to the ground. It just right there. And then it went around this room and it went around this way and then it ran around this way. And then it went to that spot again and it just was circled. And we were like, is that really happening? Like, is this really happening right now? And we watched it in amazement and we were like, oh my God, that's a sign from Punky right now. So hearing them, seeing things like that, even when we moved out of that house, the very last day, we had swept the house many times since the passing of our cats. But when we moved out, we were finding kibble in some really interesting areas that like right in the middle of the floor where we had swept a billion times. And then we found a little piece of Punky's food right there at the very end, right before we left. And we're like, how did this get here? Everything's already been cleared out. This has already been cleaned, swept, mopped, everything. And there's one little piece of kibble right there on the floor. Same place too, the same room that he passed in. So when you're looking for signs and symbols from your animals, they will give them to you just like humans will. They really want you to know that they're around you. So Michelle, I will say that the best thing I can recommend is you want to work on your frequency and vibration, getting that higher. Again, the frequency of grief is so low that even when your animals are coming around to let you know, like, I'm here with you, mama, I'm right here, we can't perceive that. We're not receptive to that when we're in a low frequency because we're so sad, we're so blocked. So we do want to open our chakras. And I do teach that in the Master Your Mediumship. Also, if you're interested in grief ease, it takes you through 9 spiritual lessons and 9 specific assignments to lift your frequency of grief so you can have your own authentic afterlife connections. And in that, I also teach how to open up your chakras. It's very important to open your chakras. So for those of you that don't understand the chakra system, through our crown chakra here, we're connected to the divine. And it doesn't matter what belief system you have, whether it's God or, well, it is God, but whatever you call it, that whatever you call that energy, whatever your particular belief system is. So we're connected here. And then we have all these different chakras throughout our body that when we're closed down, when we're grieving, or when we're in fear, or we're suffering, our chakra systems, it gets closed down and the energy is not moving through our body, which makes it very difficult to receive things from the divine through our loved ones in the spirit world. So opening your chakras, balancing them every single day is one of the very best things that you can do. Not just for your own well-being, your health and vitality will improve, but also for your afterlife connection. So that's really like number 1 on the list. So I believe both of my programs, Master Your Mediumship, if you're interested in working with others, that would be the program for you. If you're just interested in healing your grief and raising your frequency and vibration and having your own afterlife connection, then Grief Ease is for you. And before we move on from that, I'll just let you know that's my newest release, and I made this specifically to make it affordable for people. So right now it's 50% off. It's normally $9.97. Right now it's only $4.97. Plus I'm offering another $100 off if you use the coupon code Grief Ease Intro. And I'll have that link below this video too. It's a phenomenal program. I know it will help you. Okay. So as we move forward, let's talk a minute about some more coins and pennies from heaven. Let's see. I'm going to take this one off here. Okay. So I've literally been sitting like in a drive-through getting food, and all of a sudden something drops from the roof of my car onto my lap, and I look down and it's a penny. And I'm like, like, where did that come from? I mean, it was just dropped into my lap. And then I'll look at the penny and it will have a specific date on it that correlates with my loved one that passed, one of my loved ones. And so I always know who it's from based on the date or the words on the coin. So that's one way you can get it. I've also had coins tossed at me from across the room where nobody's in. And one time I was marrying a very close friend of mine. The bride was with me and everyone else was outside of the house. And moments before we went out to marry her, we heard the sound of a coin being tossed into the room. And she and I both looked down and sure enough, it was a penny from heaven. And she knew immediately because she had just asked for her deceased father to be there with her when she got married. And he was showing her, I'm right here, honey, I'm with you. He wasn't going to miss it for anything. So these are some ways that you can receive pennies from heaven. They can just show up on the ground. They can be tossed into the room. They can just drop from the sky. Even if you're not outside, it can be inside a car and it can just drop. It's amazing how it can happen. So pay special attention to any kind of coins. Okay. And so we also have, last week, I was going through something where I felt like I needed some emotional support. And out of the blue, this friend reaches out for me. I haven't talked with her in about 20 years. She sends me a picture. So I'm not expecting it. I'm not anticipating it. I'm not asking for it or anything like that. I'm just kind of doing my own thing and kind of like doing some self-healing work and just being reflective. And all of a sudden my phone pings and I look down and look at the screen. And what she sent me was a picture of me and my best friend who I talked about earlier, of my friend Dickie. And so this is a picture from well over 20 years ago because he's almost been dead for 20. So all of a sudden this picture is on that and immediately it just warmed my heart. Again, my friend used a mutual acquaintance to get a message to me to let me know that he was around. And Gino, if you're listening, thank you, sweetheart. I really, really appreciate you sending that flash from the past and sharing that afterlife message for me from Dickie. I appreciate that very much. So sometimes we're used to bring signs and symbols through for other people. So you might all of a sudden feel that kind of inclination to share an old picture with a friend, and that spirit using you to give somebody else an afterlife sign or symbol. So that is really special when that happens as well. Okay, you're welcome, Wendy. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's see. So we have, okay, I don't know how to say your name. So Farzena, I'm not sure if I'm saying that, so I apologize. My husband sends me deer all the time. I'll awake suddenly in the night, and within seconds, I'll get a notification from my outdoor security camera. There'll be a deer or two. Yes, exactly. And deers have a lot of spiritual meaning. So I would actually look that up too, whether they were significant to you or him or both of you, or if it's there's a spiritual meaning behind deers that may also relate to that. So you could actually go in the Google bar and do spiritual meaning of deer, and you'll find out like what they symbolize for you when you see them. Because often it's times that we need to learn something about ourselves or just to know that we're supported or whatever it is, but deer will have their own specific meaning. So you can find that out by Googling it. So thank you for sharing that. Let's see, we have another message here. Okay, Anne, hello. Today, 14-year uncle been in heaven. Yesterday was his birthday. I miss him. Oh, so he died 14 years ago. Yes, Anne, ask him for some afterlife signs and symbols. He's with you, honey. Yes, for sure. So one of the ways that I do this within my programs, well, my full service program where I work with you one-on-one has the afterlife journal, and so does Griefies. Both of them have an afterlife journal that you can fill out, download, keep track of. It asks you specific questions about your loved one who passed to remind you so you don't have that amnesia, so that you remember special significant things about them, like their birth dates, their death dates, their hobbies, different inside jokes that you shared with them, because the creation of their personality and the particular relationship you had with them is what they will draw upon when they're giving you signs and symbols. So yours could be entirely different than other people's, and you will know they're specific to you for this loved one, which is what I was talking about earlier. When my grandma sends me hummingbirds, there's no question. I never say, who is this from? Because I know, because it's always the same. So that's another way, when you start to write it down and start to notice them, you can clearly differentiate when you're getting afterlife signs and symbols and who they are from. Because the longer we live, the more we're going to have, a whole team of loved ones on the other side. And it's really nice. It's super healing to know which signs you're getting from who. So thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. Okay, yes. So, yep. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, dowsing and mediums have confirmed the deer are from him. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And people can even get, I know you're probably receiving the deer in live living form, but also it could be deers on a book or hearing the word deer, or, there's so many different ways that it can come through too. So it's about staying open-minded, like I said, being observant and being receptive, because there's nothing you can do to push the energy. If you're one of those people that's not having afterlife signs and symbols, that just, like I said, we talked about that earlier, it just means that your vibration is a little low. You need some healing to do so that you can more naturally hold a higher vibration and be in the frequency where spirit visits occur. So that is really, you guys, that is why I created Griefies. I really wanted to make it accessible for you. I have so many people that come to me pouring their hearts out, missing their loved ones. And I'm always thinking like, how can I help these people heal? How can I reach more people? How can I help them vibration and get into the frequency where they're having their own afterlife experiences? Because I know firsthand how healing they are, how life affirming they are, and how connected you feel once you begin to experience that rapport with the afterlife. So that's what grief ease. That's what grief ease is all about. So please check that out. I have the link for that. I also have the coupon code for it below this video. I'm not sure if I talk about a lot in the program too, dream visits. And I'd be curious to know how many of you have had dream visits from your loved one in the afterlife. I had one. Let's see, maybe it was a couple months ago, and it was really sweet where I actually woke up. Sometimes you wake up stressed, or you're hurried about your day, or you're not thinking about your loved ones. You're just going about your day. Oh, time to make coffee. What do I have to do for my work? Blah, 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 But one morning I woke up and I was just overwhelmed. I had the warmest spiritual hug and this presence around me that literally I just felt so held in spirit, and I just felt so supported and loved. And I heard from a loved one on the other side, and he said that he loved me for all time, from this life into the afterlife and into the next. And his spiritual hug was just all around me. So you can have the dream visit and also physical touch. And I have a lot of videos about that on my YouTube channel. I have an afterlife series and after death communication series, and all these different playlists where you can watch a lot of different videos and get more specific details on how that can occur for you. But it is absolutely amazing, and it's all part of the afterlife. It's all part of the magical world that we live in. So I want to encourage you guys to have your own. Let's see. Okay, here's somebody sharing some afterlife stuff. Great. Hello there, Enjoy Nature. Mushrooms, the year we met. The first letter of his name, hearts, birds, attacking and squawking at my window. Yeah, dragonflies and butterflies. Wonderful. Yes, absolutely. That's a lot of different afterlife signs. And I have people that do that too. Some of my loved ones, my loved one that we were talking about earlier, that gave the button with his name on it. He gives me hot air balloons. Sometimes he'll arrange things for me too, by the way. And so when your loved ones are around, you can start asking them to participate and help you with things. So I'll tell him, I'll go, I'm going to go somewhere and I'd really like to meet some interesting people. And that was one of his specialties when he was living. He was like all over the place. He was a mingler and a networker. He was very vivacious and people loved to talk with him. So I'll tell him now in spirit, I'll be like, hey, Dickie, I'm going to go somewhere. This is where I'm going to go. Can you just arrange to have some interesting people there so I can have a great time and connect with nice people? And then I'll drive there alone. And I'm like, sometimes it takes 10 minutes, but it always happens. It always happens. Somebody will walk up to me and begin a conversation that's very intriguing and interesting, or they just have really great energy and I'll reach out to them, or it's just by chance we just start talking. So he's always working behind the scenes. And I share this because I want you to know that your loved ones are always working behind the scenes too. Even when they're not giving you an afterlife sign, they can arrange things to help you and support you. So please ask them to. Many people don't know that you can ask them to help you with things, and you certainly can. I'm sorry, Anne. Anne just has shared that she was crying so hard and she didn't feel like her family cared. And so, honey, I want to let you know that a lot of times your family may not support you the way you need. I talk about when you experience grief, it is your sacred solo time. So release and forgive all the people that don't know how to be there to support you when you're grieving. it's really divine that you are alone for most of your grief, because there's so much growth that happens. And again, this is why I created Griefies, because I lead people through that. I teach them how to get through the sacred solo time and do the inner work that they need to do. It's about healing the grief, but it's about healing so many other things. And that's why your vibration goes from 75 up to 500, because of all the different healing things that you do within this program. So you're going to be on a different journey, and your loved ones, your family may not understand it. They're not going through it. They haven't been impacted in the same way. And that's okay, because the timing of your loved one's death is connected to so many pivotal things going on in your life, and the contracts you made and things you chose to experience in your life. And so their death is often part of your growth, and it connects. And so it's okay to just kind of tune everybody out and have that recognition, like, okay, I'm in my sacred solo time, and I know it feels lonely, but because it feels lonely, that puts the desire in your heart to learn how to get your own connection with your loved one in the afterlife. If you had everyone supporting you and coddling you and hugging you and holding you, and you were given everything from them, you probably wouldn't desire that connection, because you'd feel like it was all coming from around you. So it's very natural. It's very normal for people to be there early on in the early stages of grief, maybe right through the funeral, and then they kind of dissipate and go back to their busy lives. But that's when your solo time begins. That's your sacred solo time to begin your own journey of learning how to reconnect with your loved one in the afterlife. And this requires you to do some healing. So I understand that, but that's part of the divine path. That's part of what we came here to experience. And your loved one will hold you on the other side. They will meet you on that bridge between here and there, and they want to feed you with that connection to reassure you and let you know you are still connected. So, okay, yes. Yeah, I hope that helps for you, Anne. Again, that program is Grief Ease, you guys. It's half off right now, plus an additional $100. Check out the link below this video. Make sure you use the coupon code so that you're getting the discount. And it's just a phenomenal program. And I know it's going to help you guys so much. It's going to open your eyes to so many things and make sense of so many things that you've been suffering with or questioning. So I just am so happy and excited for you guys to have your own afterlife connections and to know how authentic and real they are, and to feel that comfort in the knowing and the trusting, the believing, and also the continued companionship. Because like my friend, he's not going anywhere. I know that he'll be with me forever, and then I will see him again. But there's no missing when you know they're here and when you know you're with them still. So that's what I wish for you all today. And I want to thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys next week. Okay, thank you. Thank you for all your comments too. Bye-bye.